Hey guys, it's Kim here with Fairily Fiber Fun. Thanks for joining me on another demo. Today we are making a needle felted pumpkin, and I will be using starting with a dryer ball as the center. I have made these in different sizes for different size pumpkins, and then putting the colored wool around in fat strips all the way around, and then shaping it at the end. So I will be using the needle felting gun, which is a single needle gun, and I will be on occasion using just the regular handheld felting needle in its little holder handle. So before we get into it, I would like to give a very warm welcome to all of you viewers. This video was created to replace a live video in the Woolen Fiber Arts community group because I am not able to do live videos. So I am posting this both in Facebook group and up on YouTube. So if you are new to my channel, welcome. And if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss new videos as they come out. And if you're watching this on Facebook and you really enjoy it and want to see other videos, go check out the YouTube channel if you don't mind. But if you're just wanting to watch it here on Facebook, that's understandable, and I appreciate you watching regardless. All right, so this is actually not sped up. It's the real live speed. In the attempt to make it as much like a demo as I possibly could, a live demo. So you can see that the first thing I did was create my little dent in the center of the top and bottom of my dryer ball. And that's helping me place everything else around it. So the wool, I like to get short strips that are very, very fat and kind of bunch them up and just lay them across from the top all the way down to the bottom, trying to get it about the same length as what would naturally go from the center to the center, if that makes sense. The fatter you do this, the more shape your pumpkin is going to have at the end. But you want to make sure to put these really close together, kind of overlap them a little bit. I've had a couple of places where the white dryer ball underneath showed through the wool. So, and a couple of times I've had to go back and fill in little gaps. That's not a problem, but it can be avoided if you're being very careful on the first go around. So sometimes I go ahead and I felt very, very lightly, like I'll attach the wool top and bottom, and then I will kind of felt the whole strip down. And sometimes I just do the top and bottom, and then I go around with the gun and I kind of smooth everything out and make sure everything is lightly felted, all of the colorful wool. And that kind of makes it go a little bit quicker, but it also makes my hand hurt because holding that gun that vibrates so violently makes my hand cramp up. So hence why I am using the other tool, because this was like the third, or I think the third pumpkin I had done this particular day, and my hand was starting to cramp pretty bad. So right now I'm just anchoring the wool at the center of the top and bottom of the ball. And we just keep going like this until you've covered the entire thing. And you'll see me every now and then just sort of shift the wool around to try and cram it together so that there's no gaps, because we don't want gaps. I mean, yeah, pumpkins are not all perfect when they're grown in the wild. And so a little bit of color variation is perfectly fine because you're going to find that in real life pumpkins, right? And I do like my pumpkins to look realistic. I have a couple of different colors of orange, and then you can also blend colors. Like I have some of the lighter orange. It's kind of a peachy orange that I blend with white. And that's a really pretty color, and it makes a very interesting pumpkin. So now that we have all of the wool, the colorful wool around the pumpkin, I'm going to tighten everything up. And sometimes like I said earlier, sometimes I will do this to each section as I put each section on. But I thought I would do it a little different for this demo. I don't know why, but we got to do things different every now and then and mix it up and keep it interesting, right? So, you see, when we just anchor the wool to the top and bottom, the rest of it is not felted at all and could easily come apart. And some of the wool is shorter than other pieces, and so like you would easily be able to just tear that apart. So we don't want that. So yes, it looks amazing, all poofy and full of air and stuff. It looks like more like a pumpkin before felting it all down. Um, but it has to be felted to an extent. So with this gun, it's just speeding up the process because the needle moves so quickly. But I am just very, very lightly going over all this wool because I don't want to felt it deep and make it hard. I'm going to be shaping it here in just a little bit. And so I need it soft enough to be able to shape. So the needle is just gently running across that layer of wool that I added to the dryer ball. And the dryer ball itself is not hard. It's pretty soft. I run them through a front load washer. At the laundromat is just a wash and a rinse, 2 rinses, I think, and that's it. So there's not a huge amount of felting going on like there would be in a top load washer. So they come out fairly soft, and yes, they go through the dryer with my regular clothes, but they don't get super, super firm, which is one of the reasons that they work so well as the inside of or the core of pumpkins. And you don't have to sit there and needle felt the core like crazy because it's already made. So wherever I can save a little bit of effort, I totally will. Not because I don't like to work hard, I do, but because sometimes I don't want to have to work that hard. It's a work smarter, not harder sort of deal. So this is really, really fun. And I was talking a minute ago about wool and blending. Well, I made a pumpkin after I filmed this. When I was all done filming, I made another pumpkin where I mixed dark, like pumpkin spice orange, with the very, very pale white and peachy orange blend. And I made a variegated pumpkin, and it was really cool looking. So I think I'm going to do another one of those. I don't know. I think I want to play with a little bit less contrast for a few of these. Maybe take the really dark orange wool and blend it with some undyed. We'll see. And this is all mystery wool that came from a zoo in another state. A friend just sent me the wool a few years ago. So I am slowly working my way through the bags of wool, and it's great for felting. It really is. And it takes the dye incredibly well. It's very, very white. I usually use like Gulf Coast Native or Tunis or something like that, or a blend of wools for my dryer balls. So they are usually fairly cream color, not pure white. But, it's not that big a deal. Like, it doesn't really matter. The idea is to get good color and a fiber that you're happy working with, and that's really all that matters. So now that we have the pumpkin felted satisfactorily, it's time to start the shaping, and I'll usually do one or two of these I don't know what to call them, channels between the sections, completely top to bottom, and then I'll just do the rest of them halfway down, and then I'll turn it over and finish them. And then I go back through and I tighten everything up, and I give it more definition and more shape. And I don't add any other wool to this. I just used the needle to shape the pumpkin itself. So the oh my god, the divots? What the heck are those called? No clue. If you know what those are called, here my hand is cramping again from holding that gun. If you know what those spaces, the deep, the stuff I'm currently drawing on the pumpkin. If you know, and here I'm counting, I want an uneven number. If you know what any of this stuff is called, please tell me because I'm drawing a complete blank. But anyway, we're just making the pumpkin shape. I don't know. Do the basics. We just get a basic little groove going. I think I'll call it a groove between the sections. So get a basic groove and then go back over it with the needle where I'm allowing it to go deep into the dryer ball core and making that groove quite deep, which makes it dark because there's shadow in there. And it looks like I've added darker wool, but I haven't. It's purely the felting itself. And then I go around the edge of the groove and I kind of felt the part that pokes out, the sections that poke out. I kind of felt them, the sides of them a bit so that they stand out more and it makes the groove more of a V instead of just a line down, if that makes sense. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I mean, I know what I'm trying to say, I just don't know how to say it. Um and this is the part that actually takes the longest to do because you're very carefully forming the pumpkin sections without destroying the full shape. I'm running the gun over the sections gently, but I'm really going deep in the grooves in between the pumpkin sections. So it makes them nice and round, it makes them poke out, and it gives them lots of definition. And it's one of my favorite parts, but it does take the absolute longest. But once that's done, I think it's because there's just so many, You have so many of these little sections, and you have to do each one very carefully, both sides of each one. And then you got to make sure that the part that pokes out is felted enough to where it's not going to be easily torn apart by little fingers. Just imagine if a cat gets to it or a baby or something and starts to tear it apart. We don't want that to happen. I want it to be nice and firm and everything attached and all that. So another break to ease the tension in my hand there. And then of course I can't find where I was at. You put the pumpkin down and then you don't know where you were at. So sometimes you just got to start somewhere random and figure it out as you go. Um, if I was doing this all in one go without putting it down, I would just keep going the same direction around until I had all the sections felted. But life happens, and sometimes we got to put stuff down, and sometimes we have to get up and answer the door, or text somebody, or get up and stretch, or fix food, or there's lots of things that interrupt us while we're working. And when you have a family that's home because there's no school, it's fall break for us this week. So there's just stuff that's happening all the time and constant interruptions, and we just gotta learn how to go with the flow. That has been the focus of my month. It seems like just go with the flow, do the best we can, plan out things the best we can, and not stress when things don't go according to plans. uh, so yeah, my car has been giving me some trouble, and I know a lot of people are going through car trouble right now, and my car is really old. Um, it's not really really old. It's got a crazy amount of mileage on it, in that regard, it's old. And I was having scrubbing happen sometimes when I put the brakes on, but not always. And the steering was a little wobbly, as in the steering wheel felt incredibly loose. Um, or like my tires were extremely low on air or something. They looked okay, but and then when I accelerated, it was like there was resistance and I was getting really poor gas mileage. So I just took my car in for an oil change, and lo and behold, an entire rotation. Uh, my it's a four-wheel drive, and my alignment was out all the way around, and it was out in such a way that the tires weren't canted to one side or the other; they were tilted inwards, and so the inside edge of my tire was showing wire. The tread was completely worn out on the inside edge of all four tires, and I was a couple of miles away from a blown tire. And now that the alignment's fixed and I have new tires, and my tires were less than a year old, so I'm really upset that nobody told me when I got rotations previously that there was something wrong. Nobody saw it. Just super annoying. So, I had to spend the money again on a new set of tires, and I just got the car today, and I'm driving it, and there's no scrubbing, and there's no weirdness to the steering, and there's no resistance when I accelerate. So it was all the alignment. Everything I was struggling with, all of the problems I was having was my alignment. And no, my car didn't jerk to one side or the other. I didn't have to fight the steering to keep it on track because it wasn't out of alignment in that regard. So I've learned a lot more about my car than I've ever known. And I've learned a lot about how to watch, what to watch for, and how to watch for it to prevent problems like this from happening in the future. And now I am having to work hard to recover from having to buy tires that I wasn't supposed to buy for a whole nother year. Wasn't in the budget. So it's been an adventure. This this whole month, this whole year has been an adventure for my family. And it hasn't been all that fun, but life is life. And like I said earlier, this is the part that takes absolutely forever. But just keep felting until you're happy with it, and then you can move on to the next part, which is the stem. I love making the stem. The stem is fun, it's quick, it doesn't take long, it's easy, and it's cute. I like my pumpkins to be, oh, so perfect. I mean, oh, so imperfect. I like them to look like real pumpkins, and real pumpkins are not perfect, but there's a certain level of perfection that I strive for in my felting. And it's just a more consistency thing than perfection. Anyway, back to the story. um, I had, with the car situation going on and the unexpected non-budgeted expense, I was not a happy camper yesterday. But now that I have my car back and it's driving so incredibly well, like I should have done this months ago. Like I should have gotten the front end aligned a long time ago. And I wasn't even aware of the extent of things that could damage the alignment on a car. And apparently my car is really, really sensitive in the alignment department. It doesn't take much to knock it out. So I'm going to have to change my driving habits a little bit so that I can make sure I don't screw up my alignment anytime soon. And the mechanic that did the work, he said to bring it back in a couple of months and have them just look and see how the tires are wearing to make sure we're not having another issue. Because he knows I cannot afford to buy another set of tires. Whew. This was not fun. It wasn't expected, and Oh, I know you guys understand because everybody has these sort of things happen. And it could have been so much worse. Like, I could have ended up on the side of the road anywhere. And that would have been a major catastrophe. So I'm really glad that things worked out the way it did and my tires held out as long as they did. So, okay, back to the pumpkin. Um, I am now that I'm done shaping the pumpkin the way I like it, then I'm going ahead and choosing which is my top, which is the bottom, and getting ready for the oh my gosh, the stem. I had a very stressful day yesterday, and my brain is not wanting to work today because of yesterday's stress. Like today's a recovery day, and I'm attempting to use my brain, and it's like, no, I don't want to be used. I want to sleep. You abused me yesterday. I'm not going to work. Anyway, I had a full blown panic attack last night. Just everything kind of hit me all at once. Um, and my boyfriend was so sweet because he helped me through it, and then we worked on planning the budget and stuff together and figuring out solutions to problems and tracking our finances so that we knew where we could adjust to recover from this hit to our our savings. So, you know, it ended up being really good, but I stayed up late because, when I have a panic attack late at night or in the evening, it takes a few hours before I can sleep. And I've got to be completely stress free. I've got to be have a chance to decompress from the panic attack and relax for a while before my body will allow me to sleep. I have to work through problems and have solutions, and so I was up until 11 o'clock, and I'm usually in bed by 7:30. So I was up pretty late last night. Slept great, but this is part of my life. It's part of I'm not complaining. I just want to let y'all know I'm not complaining. I'm sharing because it's something that just happened and it's fresh. But I'm not complaining. I'm delighted. I'm blessed. I am blessed to have this man in my life who helps me so much. When I fall apart, he's there to pick up the pieces. And he kept me out of a depression spiral. I was getting sucked into one, and he managed to pull me out of it. So I am eternally grateful to this man for being so wonderful. And I had friends over yesterday, and when I got the news about the car, about the tires, they they were there to kind of to help me process the information without spiraling immediately into depression and a panic attack. It just kind of waited until later in the day to hit. But I really appreciated the distraction of having friends over and doing fun stuff and visiting, hanging out, playing with wool. It's always great to have spinners and other crafters around. And they drove an hour and a half to see me, and it was so cool. So yesterday was a good day and a not so great day. Today is better. We picked up the car and I took the boys thrift storing. And I totally forgot to tell you what I was doing. I took a piece of roving and I rolled it up into a little tube and then felted it and felted one end of it. And then I felt as hard as I can, as deep as I can, to stab the stem down into the pumpkin very thoroughly. And I always, when I'm done, I pull on it quite hard to make sure that the stem is not going to come apart from the pumpkin. So, I mean, I could yank it apart if I tried hard enough, but if a cat gets a hold of it, I don't want it to come apart. So, the stem is the part that I really heavily, deeply felt in place. And then the pumpkin is done. And I have so much fun making these, and I'm having so much fun sharing with you um, the making of them. And I wanted to tell you that I really appreciate you listening to me ramble on about tragedies and life and anxiety and, but anxiety and depression is something that I live with and I am on medication for and I am working hard to overcome. But I appreciate that I can share this journey with you guys and y'all are so amazingly supportive. So here is the pumpkin and a few others, and I will show you one last picture. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.